And now, the Rise Above Show, presented by Roofing.com and hosted by Diego Dante.
Welcome to the Rise Above Show presented by Roofing.com. My name is Diego Dante. We are here in Salt Lake City, Utah at D2DCon, home of Jen Silver.
Yes, finally a convention that came to Utah. And What did you think of Utah? I know you guys were here not that long ago, right?
We were here a month ago, and then before that we were here in May. I will say when we were here in May, we were actually not here. We were in St. George.
Okay, that's a different spot.
Yeah, but then we did come to this part of Utah a month ago, and it was very cold.
Well, you guys were out in Bear Lake, right?
Yeah, we went out to Bear Lake.
Yeah.
It was a good time, though. It was beautiful up here, and I'd love to come here when it's summer and check it out. So,
summer, maybe like May, June, or September is probably when I would come, because it is high desert, so it gets hot.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful, regardless. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to check it out. We did get to go to a cool spot that overlooked the city. May or may not have trespassed to get there, but we did.
I won't tell anybody.
Get there. We rose above, and we got there.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
We got to look down on the valley.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know we met at RoofCon. We didn't really get much of a chance to chat there. We chatted for a minute.
Right.
And I know, now you've got some cool stuff going on, obviously, with your roofing company, and then you've got a cool event coming up.
I do.
And something really cool that we were talking about is just this focus on uniting the industry. And so I wanted to chat with you a little bit about that, of, what does that mean to you, and really what are the efforts that you're taking to be able to unite the industry?
Okay. So one of the things, I think, as somebody who came into the roofing industry from a other industry, not necessarily growing up in the industry, I found it really interesting that I felt like there were two separate groups within one industry that provided the same product or service, a roof. We've got roofing contractors, aka retail roofers, and then we've got roofers, aka storm chasers. And we go to separate conventions. We do work in a completely different model. One is working for insurance proceeds, and one is in a retail model that is managing profitability and margins. And it has to be really confusing to the consumer. And unfortunately, due to the fact that, roofers, we'll call them roofers, the second group, roofers are doing work with the insurance industry, you have situations where they go out of business because they can't float the accounts receivables, or you have situations where there are a bad contractor here and there that's taken advantage of a homeowner, and it gets sensationalized in the media, and all roofing contractors, regardless of the way that they sell, get this negative stigma that follows them, right? And it was really, really difficult for me to understand why that's that way, why it's tolerated, and why there isn't a way to blend things together and unite the industry into one industry, which we truly are, so that consumers can have a reliable place to go when they're looking for roofing. I think, unfortunately, roofers are probably more of the laughingstock of the construction industry. Now, I don't think it's our fault, to be completely honest with you. I think that there are bad plumbers, and I think there's plumbers that run away with people's money, and I think that there are carpenters that do the same thing, but they are not necessarily doing as much insurance-related work, and so it doesn't get the same spotlight that we get as roofers. And it's really unfortunate, and I think it leads to an industry that consumers don't know who they can trust and who they can't.
Let's talk a little bit also about, you've got this event coming up. I want to hear about this, and what you've taken here from this, and what you're doing with this event. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So it kind of goes on with what I was saying. I think that all contractors, all roofing contractors, regardless of the type of work that you do, you put on a roof. And I don't think an outside industry should be able to influence your pricing model. I don't think it should be able to influence your collections procedures. I don't think it should dictate the way that you have to write an estimate. I don't think you should have to have two different models within a business to sell a roof. It doesn't make sense to me. And I've been really blessed over the last several months or year of with the people that have come into my life, and Steve Badger is one of them. And when I explained my logic behind why I do the roof, why my company does roofing the way it does roofing, he said, "That's genius. I wish everybody did that. That would make things so much simpler, even from the insurance company standpoint. And the number one thing is it's the right thing for homeowners." And I said, "Well, would you be willing to, say that publicly?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely." And, after I've been out on the road and talking to different people, and I would say that, there's kind of this level of disbelief. Like, is that really true? Would Steve Badger really actually say that? Or did he say that? Did Jen make that up? And I just decided, well, it's probably time to put that event together and show people publicly that we can be one industry. We can operate with one model that we control. We don't have to use Xactimate. We don't have to fight with insurance companies. We are our own business owners, if that makes sense. I think I've been really fortunate, like I said, and I think when you're doing work that, whether you use the word God or you use the word universe, the word is different for different people. For me personally, I use the word God, but I think when you're doing work that God has intended for you, life just continues to unfold. Unfortunately, it took a plane crashing into my home for me to start to actually listen to God and recognize that He was talking to me.
This is pretty crazy. You started telling me the story earlier, and my mind just, my eyes just got really wide. So I'm a little excited to, maybe not excited, but because I don't know the full story, but I think you've caught my attention with this. So let's hear about this. So you had a plane that crashed into your home. What happened?
I did. So in February of 2020, literally right before schools shut down, I was renting a home in Layton because I owned a townhome in Roy, and I didn't necessarily want to stay there when my boyfriend and his kids would come over. We just didn't have room. So we rented a larger home. I moved in. Then when they would come and hang out, we had a place. Thankfully, we had a really nice place when COVID hit because it was on like 3.5 acres, and we homesteaded, and it was a lot of fun. But my kids still walked to my townhome every day, and I would go and pick them up around 4 or 5 when my day ended. This particular day was a Wednesday, and school got out at 1 o'clock, and at about 1:30, God starts saying, "Go get your kids." And I'm like, "No. Have you looked at my calendar? Do you see all of the things that I am supposed to get done between now and the time I would actually go get my kids? You're crazy. No, I am not going to get my kids. Go get your kids. No. Nope. Go get your kids." And it wouldn't stop. And I remember being so angry. I slammed my hands down on my desk at around 2:30 because I had gotten nothing done between 1:30 and 2:30. And I said, "Fine, you win. I'll go get the kids." And I left, and I went and picked him up, and I pulled out of my townhouse complex at 2:57, and I know it was 2:57. People are just like, "How do you know what time it was?" I go, "Because I sat there, and I'm like, okay, if I get home, I have this much time to work, and then I'm going to have to start dinner, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen." And I got home, and I told the kids, I said, "Look, I picked you up early. I need you guys to give me a good solid hour and a half where you're not fighting, and I can stay focused so that I can get these things done." And they said, "Okay." And about 10 minutes later, my phone rang, and I answered, and it's my neighbor, and she's like, "Jen, where are your kids?" And I go, "They're with me." She goes, No, I just saw them. Where are your kids?" And I go, "No, really, I just came and picked them up. They're with me." And she just starts crying, and I'm like, "Is everything okay?" And she goes, "Turn on the TV, a plane just crashed into your house." And I go, "What?" She goes, "Jenna, just turn on the TV." And I couldn't even find the remote. I just fell to my knees and started crying. And I told God at that moment I wouldn't I would not argue. I would be obedient. And I thanked him for not giving up on my stubbornness, because I really wasn't going to go. And that plane hit at 3:09. So I had given myself 11 minutes to have gotten out of there with my kids. Now, the plane went down in between the townhouse behind me and our townhouse, and the wing hit the one across, and unfortunately the pilot didn't make it, but it blew up in between our two townhomes and scorched the side of my building. Nobody was injured other than the pilot, unfortunately, but I think about, I don't know that my kids would have been physically injured from the event. I don't know. But I do know that the emotional trauma that they would have experienced at their age, having to witness a plane crash and an explosion and the feelings and all of the things that go along with that, would probably have taken a significant amount of life to recover from. And whether they would ever even be comfortable getting on a plane, who knows, right? And so I have been diligent, and I have been my word with God. And when I know that I'm doing his work, and I truly feel like I am, because the things that continue to unfold for me are like-minded people doing the same type of thing, that have faith and that are, up to, taking on tough missions because they know it's the right thing. And life I've been blessed, and it's been a wonderful experience.
It's an incredible story. I couldn't imagine anything like that. That's crazy. Let me go ahead and jump into my rapid fire set of questions that I have for you.
Yeah.
So my first question is, what is a big failure that you've had in life? This could be in your business, this could be as a leader, this could be in your personal life, and how are you able to rise above?
I've had a lot of failures. But I look at failure as all of them as opportunities. Mm-hmm. I would say probably one of the hardest failures that I had to get through would have been my divorce, my last divorce. That was a really challenging thing, and I had already been divorced once, so now I was being divorced twice. And so there's, a level of looking good and embarrassment that goes along with that. And obviously I'm the common denominator there. So it has to be something around me and who I am, or what I'm choosing for myself. And, really getting to a place where I gave myself some grace and some forgiveness around that in order to start to move forward in my life has probably been a huge accomplishment, because it allowed me to forgive myself for other things. And I think self-forgiveness is something that we don't do often enough. We'll forgive other people, but I think we struggle forgiving ourselves.
When we see you, we see you running a successful roofing company, and now throwing an event, and we see you out on panels, and now you're getting some exposure, and being on podcasts and all this stuff. So, with that, some people would see that as, having a level of success. How do you define success? How will you know that you have succeeded in your business?
So, I think success is interesting. I mean, you say successful roofing company, and, we're still a young roofing company, right? And I'm still recovering from a huge loss at the beginning of my second year. So we're not necessarily profitable yet. We're still in business. I think that's a pretty good success, right? That's better than 85 or 90% of roofing companies. But it's definitely still a journey. For me, what I define as personal success is probably achieving my personal why. And I believe that all of the things that I'm doing now are stepping stones to get there. And it's interesting because I was having a conversation with Alan Mick and Dave Carroll at RoofCon, actually. And Alan asked us, hey, what are you going to do when you make it? And I was like, oh, I don't know that I've ever thought of that, because it never occurred to me that making it, or whatever that is, was an option, I guess. And without even thinking, I just said, I'm going to transform high school education, and I'm going to take history to 2 years, and I'm going to do 2 years of practical life skills that includes insurance, taxes, compounding interest on credit cards, how to change your car tire, how to identify spark plugs, how to jump your car, budgeting, accounting, all of the things that really can cause you to fail in life. Not 4 years of U.S. history to name every president that served every term. Not that there aren't key points in history that are important for people to know. I firmly believe that. But I do think that is available on the internet if you needed to do additional research. And most jobs or most positions, most life skills don't require you to know who the 19th president of the United States is. I have no idea who it is right now, but I did know at one point because I had to, right? And the skills that we need to teach kids don't get taught. And so that's, I think for me, that will be my measure of making it, when I'm at a place where I can confidently start to conquer that.
For you and for people listening, I want to share something with you. We, at Cornerstone Construction, I used to work for Cornerstone Construction. It was owned by Hunter, who started Roofing.com.
Yes.
And we started Cornerstone Kids Alliance, and I'm still on the board at Cornerstone Kids Alliance, and it's a nonprofit organization where we help kids to be able to develop those life skills that they don't teach in school, especially with high school students. And something really cool that happened was, we decided, we're gonna give 1% of total revenue to Cornerstone Kids Alliance. And when we started doing that, our sales reps became really excited about, it added on to, when you're talking to your customers, hey, you get them excited about that. You get everyone, the people in leadership in the company, you get your sales reps bought in, you get the customers bought in, and it turns into this whole movement, right? And then, you get people to come in, like your sales reps come in during the weekends and they participate at the events, and it turns into this whole movement, and it's so exciting. And it makes it to where your job isn't just a job, you have a common purpose behind it, and it makes it so much more fulfilling.
When your why is bigger than yourself and even your immediate community, it's really hard to quit. It's hard to quit on a big why because there's so many people that you let down. If your why is self-centered, it's easy to quit on yourself. And I think E.T. talked about that yesterday, right? Like, it is so easy to break promises to yourself and not break promises to other people. But the larger the group is that you make your promise to, the harder it becomes to quit. So what I've done for myself is I tell everybody what I'm doing, right? Because it puts an accountability in for me, because now not only do I let myself down, but I let you down, and I let him down, and I let them down, because everybody knows or is expecting that those are the actions that I'm going to take. And that's very purposeful on my part, because if I don't speak things into reality, I will quit on myself. I am getting better at that, but I by far am the lowest priority in my life, and it shouldn't be that way.
The last of my rapid fire questions is, what is a book that's changed your life? It doesn't have to be the number one book, but just what is a book that has changed your life?
So when I became a general manager at the age of 24, which that's a really young age to be a GM for a restaurant, my district manager gave me a book called The Oz Principle. Have you heard of it? It's by Roger Connors, and it's a book on accountability and why organizational accountability and personal accountability is so important. And I go back to that book a lot and, reread principles and a lot around a personal accountability, because I think as a leader, if you're not accountable, you can't hold people accountable and have credibility. So, when E.T. was talking yesterday, he's like, your life doesn't start until you take accountability for your life. I 100% believe that. Like, I look back at my life, and I even had the tools and the skills or the knowledge to take accountability, but until I made the decision that, okay, I'm divorced for a second time because of me, not anybody else. I am in this place right now because of me, not anybody else. I'm never a victim. Like I refuse to be a victim. And I've had some really shitty things happen to me in the course of my life. I mean, maybe that I didn't look for or want, but when I started to really apply the principles of the book, like deep down, my life has been completely transformed. So even though it says it's about organizational accountability, it's really about what accountability does, how to assume accountability, and it helps your team feel like it's okay to make mistakes, because we all make mistakes. But as a leader, you can't admit it, your team won't admit it either.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
Chatting about, everything here with unifying the industry. I think
Yes.
that's a really, a really good thing that, for us to talk about. And I'm excited for you and your event.
Thank
And,
you.
your company, with its Roofing Utah, right?
That is correct. I am
Right,
impressed.
So I'm excited for you. Where do people go to follow you on social media if they don't already?
Yeah, so you can go to my website. It's probably the easiest. It's just jensilver.co, C-O, and it has links to all of my social media, and then you can choose the platform that works best for you.
Cool. Well, guys, if you've tuned in, if you've stuck around the whole show, we really appreciate you. And
thank
hopefully
you.
you've been able to tell that we're here partying at D2D-Con. You
Yeah,
can hear
drinking some bucked up.
That's right.
We're getting bucked up.
Is that one yours? Did you try this one?
I did. It's actually really good. Bucked up is in Utah. I'm like 90%
Yep.
sure it's from here because they're in all the grocery stores, whereas, there's not a lot of other vendors like this that are in grocery stores. But this
They're
is the
pretty good.
first time
Check
I've
them out.
tried it.
Yeah.
So I'm allergic to aspartame, so anytime I see zero sugar, it scares me. But this is sucrose, so it's not so bad.
Yeah. Well, guys, appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time on the next episode of the Rise Above Show. Peace.
Thank you.